Can you hear me now? I'm so sorry. I've been sitting here talking for how long? No sound. Oh my gosh. Anyway, let's start all over again. Can you hear me now? Can hear you now. This has been the worst setup experience that I have had. Like, I cannot express how difficult this has been. And I don't even know what I did to fix it. It was completely broken, and now it's just not. I don't know. I've whatever. It's okay. I started out, I'll try and make this a little bit faster this time. I just wanted to say thank you. I want to say thank you to absolutely everybody and everyone that has ever watched a video or clicked on it or commented anything. You don't even have to be a subscriber, just anyone that's watched it. But I am here today to celebrate the 20,000 subscribers that I have hit. And it's just feels like such a landmark to me, especially considering that I've was on this channel for, oh my gosh, I want to say for the first 3 years, I had I think I hit 4,000 subscribers in 3 years. And then in this past year, I've gone from 4,000 to 20. That's like an insane, the traction. It's kind of hard to wrap my brain around what kind of, the speed that my channel just decided to start growing at. And it's just wonderful. And it's been the greatest year of, my YouTube experience here. Let's see what you guys are saying. I just want to congratulations. Yep, can hear you now. Love the channel. I hear you. Yes, we can hear you now. Wow, I need to go live. Wow. Oh, I made it to live. Sorry, geez, I can't even read apparently. So if you have any questions or just, any comments, I will go through those. But other than that, I really just wanted to say thank you and just kind of jump in here. And I don't know if anyone's in the Discord. I don't have that up. No, I do not see anything. Anyway, hey from Finland, hello. I don't see anything. Does anyone have any questions? Anything they want to discuss, talk about? I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of at a loss here. Love your channel. You put me on to Blam. I was put onto that just by this channel in general and just by reading manga. I never in my entire life have read comics or manga. Now, I will say I grew up watching anime, so that has always been a big thing. And I've watched it as an adult, just kind of like as a casual anime fan. But even reading it was just not something that I did much at all. But anyway, so I did it. I started doing it just before the channel, and I've fallen completely in love with it. I really have. Gray Malk, so great when my browser doesn't update. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I know, right? I don't even know what mine was doing. Maybe it was an update. I doubt it. Plans for the channel. I don't really have any major plans for the channel. I'm going to continue doing what I do, which is mainly book reviews and just generalized book and reading content. I really try to prioritize dedicated reviews, although as dedicated reviews, as everyone will kind of tell you on YouTube, dedicated reviews just aren't where it's at. That's just what doesn't get engagement. But I will continue to prioritize that. I always have, and I kind of always will. But so right now I'm like leapfrogging through content, as in one dedicated review and then like something fun. And I just kind of go with it when it comes to the whatever is something fun. Now, my main thing with the channel is I'm here to talk about things that I genuinely love. So, and I'm always reading manga, I'm always reading books, and I just kind of go with the flow because I'll read like 5, 6, 7 things in a month, but I can only put up 3 dedicated reviews. So I just kind of whatever I'm feeling that month is what I do. And I just don't have any like hardcore set plans for how the content flows. I just let the content go where it's going to go. I kind of, let it tell me where it needs to go. Where am I at? Say, I'm glad to finally get one of these. I'm glad you finally made it, Slay. Snow Crash versus Neuromancer. Oh no. I'm gonna say that's hard. Snow Crash is much more readable. It's a much easier book to get into, and it reads better. I will say that for Neil Stephenson, he made it much more readable book. Neuromancer is very obtuse and kind of hard to read, hard to get into, very dense. Doesn't read well, not at all. But as far as just the imagination on display, I think Neuromancer probably is better in that department. But they are both fabulous, and they both have their own kind of strengths. Glad you're in Malazan. Finished main series a month ago and still raving about it. You know what? This is another thing about this channel is I get to kind of experience these things and I fall so deeply in love with them. And Malazan is one of those things. I am on book 4. I've read 4, of the 10 books. And I can already tell you right now that the Malazan will be on my top 10 list of greatest books, series of all time. And actually, it's right about the time of the year where I should renew my top 10 list. And I don't know if I should do it and go ahead and get some of the ones that I read last year, because they're definitely going to be put on the list, and then just redo it again when I'm done with Malazan, or if I should wait, because it is such a powerhouse. I'm going to say, I think it'll be in the top 5. I really, really think Malazan's going to fall in the top 5 for sure. Have you, or do you plan to read the Icanius trilogy by James Isington? I don't know if it's a big thing on Booktube or not, but I recently read the first book and I really enjoyed it. I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of it. I don't even know who James Isington is. And I don't know if that's a big thing on Booktube either. I am not necessarily plugged into what is big and is not on Booktube. That's kind of shameful to say, considering I'm kind of technically a Booktuber. But I'm also kind of outside of the bubble that is big on Booktube, because I'm not like a fantasy reader. I am trying to get into fantasy. This is like kind of my second year of really trying to add it to my TBR and really trying to experience it. And it's been kind of up and down, hit and miss, and not here as I go through it. Malazan has been a huge hit. Game of Thrones is a pretty big hit, although I'm not as big as Malazan, I'll say that for sure. But that seems to be the bubble that most of Booktube lives within, or at least, I don't know, at least the ones I watch tend to be the fantasy Booktubers, and I've never heard of that book before, so it might not be big. Hello, I had a long advert pop up. Did you answer if you kept up with the Berserk chapters? Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% current on Berserk chapters. Unless something's come out in the past few weeks, I do chapter reviews every single time one comes out. So if there's like chapter 378, I literally just put on the thumbnail chapter 378, and I just talk about that one dedicated chapter. So I should be absolutely current. If I'm not, I have failed somewhere, but I think I am. I'm pretty sure I'm current. Planning on reading other Fujimoto's works, Chainsaw Man, Fire Punch. I don't know. Maybe he was really not a priority for me after watching the show of Chainsaw Man. I don't know if I didn't click with it, or I don't know. For some reason, I wasn't super invested in it, and I had so many other things that I was trying to get to on my TBR, and kind of, especially in the manga department, there's a lot of things that I really want to get to. So I just kind of put him on the back burner. And then Goodbye Eri won the Patreon pick for one of the months, and I read it, and I adored that. So he's kind of still on the back burner, but he's much more of a interest in my mind now that I've read something that I just absolutely adored, and I'm much more interested now in getting into more of his stuff than I was, say, 6 months ago. Where am I at? Suzanne. Congrats on the 20th. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you for the books also. Uh, um, what am I? I am starting Discworld. What do you think about it? I don't Discworld. I have not read Discworld, and I don't have any opinions on that. Oh man, book recommendations for manga readers is really hard. I I don't know how to answer that question. I'll have to think about that. That would be actually probably a fabulous video if I could come up with anything. Don't hold me to it because I don't know what that would be. I mean, I want to say something like a Vampire Hunter D because they're so short and they're so quick and they're so easy to read. But then again, the writing's kind of clunky, and I don't know if that's a great sell for somebody that's like a new reader because they don't know how engaging it would be. But it does kind of walk that line of something that has originally come from like a visual medium of the anime or maybe even the manga, and then you can get into books and they're really short and they're really sweet and they really take you almost no time to read. So that would be my initial thought, but then again, I kind of am a little hesitant to say that just because they are kind of written very clunky, and I don't know how good of a sell that would be to what a good reading experience would be, even though I love them dearly. Ever thought about giving Stephen R. Donaldson's Gap Cycle a read? I have not really dabbled in any of that, and I don't not looked into it. I don't know what it is, so I'm gonna say no, not yet. But I get so many recommendations from this channel in the comment section. I have heard of Donaldson's name, and I will eventually work my way around to that. But if I see that in the comment section, I almost always Google it and check it out and at least look into it. It's how I get so many of my reads is just from mining my own comment section. That's how I found the Gorman Gast books, and I've just my life has been all the richer for it. So just kind of keep dropping your suggestions, something like a Donaldson, in the comments, and I will eventually work my way around to it. That's pretty much how I do this. By the way, I purchased Ring, and it's on my list for this month based on your recommendation. I hope you like it. It is one of my favorite horror books of all time, and it's almost hard to even call it a horror book. It's more of like a vibe and a feeling and an experience, and the mystery and the detective story kind of, although I think he's a reporter, but that's not the point. It's just such a good, it's such a good book. I love it so much. Yes. How long would you say it took your book collection to grow to where it is now? Several years. Quite a few years. I don't know, because it wasn't that big. Even 5 years ago, it wasn't that. I mean, 4 years ago, it wasn't that big. I had like a single bookcase, like a single Billy, and I just kind of went a little crazy, and I kind of started just buying a bunch of stuff, and I get almost everything used. So, but yeah, probably 4 or 5 years of just real solid effort of trying to just grow and get all of this. And really what it is it's this behind me is kind of like my TBR. I a lot of this I have not actually read because I go through, like I said, I go through the comment section here and I get all of these ideas, and I kind of hold all of these books and these authors in my brain that I want to read, and then I go probably about once or maybe 2 or 3 times a month to the used bookstores, and I just kind of walk around, and if I see something that's cheap and I know I want to read it, or I've seen it and I'm super interested in it, I just buy it and I throw it on the shelf. And that way, when I'm going through, like, at the beginning of the month, I'm like, I need to come up with something that I'm going to read this month. What am I know I'm going to read Malazan, and I know I need a couple other things, and I just peruse the shelves behind me. And that is literally how I decide what I'm going to read. Is I just kind of look at the books on the shelf, and there's probably 200 books behind me that I haven't read, that I'm eventually going to get to someday. And I saw at the bookstore and I got them for $8 a piece, or something. Where are we at? Did you read nonfiction? If so, what is it? I don't read a ton of nonfiction. I just actually recently started dabbling in nonfiction with, where is it? The Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. And it was such a wonderful experience that I want to read more Eric Larson. I don't know how much more nonfiction I'll be getting into as far as the wider world of nonfiction, because it's not something that I typically read. But I did try that Eric Larson book, and it was amazing. If you have not read The Devil in the White City, I think I gave it a 9 or a 10. It was great. It was like the setting up of the Chicago World's Fair, and at the same time it is following the serial killer H.H. Holmes as he kind of stalks the streets of the city, and then he uses the Chicago World Fair as and all of the population that is drawn to the city, and he kind of uses that as an excuse to amp up his serial killer activity. Oh my God, check that out if you have not. So good. Are you interested in hard sci-fi or vintage like Greg Egan or Paul Anderson? I am, yes. I one of my favorite genres, period, is, well, science fiction. I read a lot, probably more science fiction than anything. And then of the science fiction, one of my favorites is just classic sci-fi. I adore it. And I know it's not the most trendy, not the most popular thing to be reading, and a lot of people have a hard time with it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because it's dry. It's just not as character focused. A lot of it's ideas driven. A lot of it's like delving into the science, like some hard sci-fi. Holy crap, you're going to be stuck in some math or some equations or something. Like, it's just a lot sometimes when you're doing the classic science fiction. And I don't even care. I love everything about it. I'll delve right into it, and I get into the I don't know. I just love everything about classic science fiction. So throw all those at me in the comment section too, because I'll probably go through those. I'm actually doing Slaughterhouse 5 this month, and I'm super excited to get into it, just because I don't know how hard, I'm not saying that's hard science fiction, but it's an older book, more of a classic science fiction kind of a thing, vintage. And thank you so very much, Nicholas, for the super chat. Hi, I stumbled onto your channel by pure chance and has been a big inspiration for me to continue writing. Reading Dune right now for inspiration. If I ever finish it, I'll mail you a copy, even though it will be in Spanish. I can't read Spanish, but I will take it and I will put it on my shelf. If you can get it translated, I'd read it though. But I'd love to know what you're writing. And if Dune's your inspiration, I love Dune. It is my second favorite series of all time. So, but thank you for the super chat. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Samantha Sutherland, art books. I missed the announcement of 20,000 subs. Awesome news, and my first live stream. Not huge into sci-fi books, but I love your videos. Thank you very much. If you want a great intro to modern comics, read something Is Killing the Children 1 through 6. I've never heard of that. I'll have to look into that. Drop that in the comments if you can after this, because I won't be able to see this in the once it's done. Throw that in the comment section so I have it so that I can go back and look at it. Adrian Tchaikovsky's Dogs of War series. Anybody read those? Heard there's a third book coming out. I have not read those. I have not read anything, as a matter of fact, by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And there's a lot of stuff on my kind of like in my head that I really want to kind of get to. There's one that's super trendy and popular that I can't think of off the top of my head. It's the something of time. I can't remember. It's the one with like the spiders, I think. But that one's I just want to read some Tchaikovsky because I hear really good things about him. If I had to choose Isaac Asimov or Arthur C. Clarke, I've only, well, okay, let's see. I'm gonna say that's really hard. I don't know. I like because I've only read the Foundation trilogy by Asimov and Arthur C. Clarke. I don't know. I might go Arthur C. Clarke just because I loved Childhoods and so much, and the 2001: A Space Odyssey is really good, but Childhood End was fabulous, even though it feels kind of almost not. It's a little bit derivative, and it's not like the most creative thing you've ever read for like the first 2/3 of the book, and then that last third just really pushed it over the edge for me into something that I thought was truly fabulous. And yes, one of my favorite classic science fiction books probably is Childhood's End. Really, really good. Children of Time. Thank you. That's the one I was trying to. That's the Tchaikovsky book that I was trying to think of. Thank you, Slay. Love the sci-fi genre. Looking to get back into reading. I've read Dune and Messiah, 1984. Which other books should I check out? That is so hard to say. Like what you should read in the science fiction genre. It is so broad. Do you like more? Well, you're saying you liked Dune and Messiah 1984, so you're looking at sounding more like a classic science fiction. Like I was gonna say, if you're into more modern space opera-y stuff, I would say go House of Suns for Alistair Reynolds, because that's just a one book easy recommendation, and it's so good, it's just insane. Then there's more of the classic sci-fi, and I hardcore recommend Philip K. Dick to anybody who will listen to me, because he's just one of my favorites. He's just so good, but it's more of a I don't know. He's kind of got his own style. He's not for everybody, but boy, he's just, I don't know. I would look into Philip K. Dick. That's what I say. Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Try that one. There you go. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, I think, or try. How do you integrate the different books you've read? Sometimes when I read something new, I feel I have to go back and reread some, but either I don't have neither time nor the interest, except a few authors. How do you integrate the different books you've read? I don't know. I'm not sure I fully understand the question. I don't normally go back and reread things, like especially if I'm like on a series that I'm reading. Like I'll just kind of go with the flow. And normally once I pick up a new book, I start reading it, I pretty much am reminded very quickly of where it came before. And if I am not, I'll go read a synopsis of the previous book, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And everything kind of falls into place. And then I just barrel right ahead. It's not as difficult as it seems. At least I don't think it is. And then I'm leapfrogging all over the place. I'm reading sometimes I'm reading 2-3 books at a time, and then I'll be reading a manga over here. It's just like when you watch television back in the day. I mean, when I grew up in the 90s, you'd be watching 4 shows at a time, and then next week you'd have to catch up on the next episode of those 4 different shows, and you just kind of picked up where you left off, and you were all right then. It's kind of the same concept in reading, I think. Anyway. Gray Milk. I'm gathering ideas for the Patreon picks. If I propose a sickly, sweet, and fluffy romance manga, will you kick me out of the Discord? I will not. I will read anything and everything that you guys recommend, so long as it wins. And that's, it's just how it goes. Actually, I was saying, it was one of my either my TBR video or the other one, where I said that's actually my favorite thing about the Patreon pick is because it's just it forces me to step outside of my comfort zone, and I love stepping outside of my comfort zone. I love experiencing new things and trying things that I wouldn't have tried. That's how I found Malazan. That's how I found manga. That's how I'm just this one of by far my favorite thing about it. And I get to do Guards this month, which is Terry Pratchett, and I'm just I'm super ready to get into it. So, yes. Excellent. Yes. That's what I say. Excellent. Awesome. I definitely think I lean more towards classic sci-fi. I'll check out Philip K. Dick. I recommend him. He's got a great sense of humor. He's got a great mind. He's got a great vision. Try it out. Like I said, go do Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. That's probably the best, all well-rounded example of his work. It's not too far into his weird, heady stuff. And it's a good example of his work, I think, of what he does. I'm late. That's okay, TM. I was late too. I was late by a whole ass hour because I couldn't get my stream to work right. It was just my computer wouldn't recognize my camera as the webcam. That was the problem, and it was just a whole mess. Have you read any Matthew Stover novels or his series Acts of Cain? If so, opinions. I have not. I don't know anything about it. I have no opinions. I hate it when that happens. I'm assuming that I don't know. Yeah, it's never happened. It's never happened to me before. Now, granted, this is like the 4th time I've streamed, so but yeah, it was the worst. There is a sequel to 20th Century Boys. It's just 1 volume, but you have to read it. 21st Century Boys. I got to get through 20th Century Boys first. Actually, I was probably going to read that this evening. Well, start reading that this evening. I was going to read it. We were going to go down to Cincinnati and visit family, and then that got canceled, and that's when I was like, I'm going to do my stream today. But yes, I hope to get started on that. I want to do that kind of soon. I want to try and read at least the 3 volumes that I have. I want to read them relatively quickly, maybe in a week or so. I don't want to be stretching this one out, and then maybe I can get to the video and talk about it, because I think, I hope I think I will like it. If it's based on the monster, I really enjoyed that, although maybe not quite as much as some other people did. Stephen King is overrated. Who is this, Matt? I disagree, sir. I love Stephen King. He is my favorite author ever. Although I will say I can see why people think that he is overrated. I see every time I read one of his books, I just see what all these complaints that people have. I get it. I just get it. But at the same time, he's got a certain way of writing. He's got a certain way with characters. He'll dive into, I don't know. I love him. I really, really enjoy him, but I absolutely can see why people don't like him. And then he's so prolific, and he just writes like 2 books a year every year, and he just kind of doesn't stop pumping them out. That he has this tendency to pump out a masterpiece right next to a piece of work that I will say can be questionable. So it's just, so he's hard. Yeah, I get it. I get it if people don't like him. I get it when people think that he's overrated. But I think that he holds the title and the place in the zeitgeist that he does for a good reason. I think he earned that place through just sheer quality of writing. I in my opinion, and yeah. Anyway, where was it? Well, let's move on. Plans on reading the sequel trilogy by Joe Abercrombie, The Age of Madness. I know you read the first law of The Age of Madness. I think is a step up in quality in almost all aspects. I was going to say I agree. I have heard that from just about everybody. Now, I 100% want to get to that. I was going to go not straight into it, but straight into it in terms of I finished the first trilogy, and then I was going to go straight to the second trilogy. And I get so many comments about, don't do that, read the standalones. And that was not how I was intending to do it. I was not going to read the standalones. I was just going to go straight to the second trilogy. But I also want to get some other fantasy things done before I do that. So I haven't figured out now if I want to read the standalones or if I'm going to go straight into it, which was my original plan, or how I'm going to approach that. But I will get to it. I do want to get to it, but I still want to knock a few things off my list before I do that. Like, I read book 1 of The Witcher last year, and I want to read more of that probably before I get to it. And I also read book 1 of The Earthsea, The Wizard of Earthsea, and because I have that whole big bind up, that beautiful book that came from I forget where. Anyway, it's the illustrated edition of all the Earthsea books, and I want to get a little bit more of that down before I move back over to Abercrombie. But I will. Have you read any of Joe Hill's books? I have not, but I have a couple, like 1 or 2 of them on the shelf back here. I want to say I have I can't think of it. Heart-Shaped Box and Horns. That's what I've got back there, but I haven't read them yet. But I did grab them and put them back there because I hear he's kind of like, what do they say? Got the keys to the kingdom or something like that for Stephen King, the heir of Stephen King, the one that's writing the best work, doing the best work. I don't know. Where am I at? Draggly. Have you ever read any of the Forgotten Realms book or Dragonlance? I have not. No, I have not gotten into any of that. There are a lot of people here compared to the 1,000 stream, which is great. That's funny. I don't know how many people are here. I can't see. Oh, 49. Yeah. Yes. Were you here for that one? TM? Oh my gosh. How many years have you been here? Yeah. That's nuts. Which booktubers do you follow? Recommendations or get inspired on what they reviewed or are reading? My previous question was on how ideas evolve on reading something new instead of isolated reads. Which booktubers do I follow? Recommendations or get inspired? I watch a lot of boy, it's gonna sound super bad because I watch a lot of the big ones like Mike's book reviews and Murphy Napier and Daniel Green, and I don't watch a lot of Daniel Green anymore. I kind of slowly, I don't know. Not that there's anything wrong with him or his content. I just don't watch as much of him as I used to back in the day. But I really try not to miss any of Moyd from Media Death Call. I really like his content. He's really good. I watched him back when he was like a booktuber, like the rest of Booktube, where he'd do book calls and top 10 science fiction and stuff like that. And then he just like deleted his channel and not his channel, all of his content, or he privated his content. And he started doing these like video essays with this super high production value. And it's just like, so I try not to miss any of his stuff. I just like his content. There's this Paperback Journeys is good. He's a small little guy. Like me, and who else? I watch some Jimmy, the Fantasy Network. I watch all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of them that I watch. By the way, Vampire Hunter D is awesome. It is. I tell everybody that'll listen. I even put it on my top 10 greatest series list, which is like almost embarrassing because it's so, I don't know. It's like, it's not quite on the level that these great masterpiece series are. And I don't care. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite palate cleanser books. As a matter of fact, I was going to do that this month and read one of the next one in the series this month. But I put that Empire of the Vampire on, and I was like, I'm not doing all vampire books this month. We'll do Vampire Hunter D next month, I think. I think it's fine watching others. The booktubers community is probably more connected and interactive with each other or more than any other community I've ever seen. Yeah. I don't talk to a ton of them. I do have some comments that I'll drop comments in their section, they'll drop comments in mine. I haven't really streamed with anybody yet, but I don't know. I don't know why. I just haven't. But I think I might be lining one up actually with Chance. He's trying to get something worked out where we might do a little stream, me, him, and I don't know who all he's trying to put on it, but that could be cool. So, but I do agree there's such a such a community here that people really talk to, and you'll have a booktuber with like 5,000 subscribers streaming with somebody with like 500,000 subscribers. It's like, it's pretty inclusive, you know. You see Murphy pop up all over the place on channels that are all big and small. She'll be with somebody that has 1 million this week, and next week she'll be with somebody who has 5,000. It's just kind of like, it's just kind of how it works. It's really nice. And I will say the comment section is just as inclusive as the Booktuber community, if that makes any sense. Because it's, you go to a movie review comment section in like on YouTube, it's very toxic. Go to a book review and it's fabulous. It's just so inclusive. It's wonderful. Thank you, Slay. I want to say thank you again for the super chat. That's just wonderful. I don't even know what to say, but thank you, Slay. I know you're not that close with the booktube community, but believe me, you're talked about positively by many of them, especially in the Talking Story and Fantasy Network Discord servers. Am I? I did not know that. As a matter of fact, Talking Story is another one that is just absolutely wonderful. And I already mentioned the Fantasy Network that I watch him. Actually, I'm so sorry. I forgot Philip Chase. I watch him too. I really kind of like Philip Chase. One of these days, I'm going to attempt, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to attempt to get in touch with Phil. We're going to talk about some Malazan, and I'm going to attempt to keep up with the PhD, see what happens there. We'll give that a shot. Blake Crouch versus Andy Weir. I cannot do that one. I have never read Andy Weir. I just have not. And Blake Crouch, I say it every time I talk about Blake Crouch. Me and Blake Crouch have a love-hate relationship because there are some of his things that I really like, and there are some of his things that I really don't like. And Wayward Pines was wonderful. Great. Absolutely stupendous. Dark Matter was not great. I know it's not a trendy thing to say. You're not supposed to say that, but it wasn't super great. I'm just saying. Anyway, sorry to anybody who likes Dark Matter. Actually, Dark Matter wasn't bad. It was just that third act. Oof, I did not like the third act in that. Congratulations. You give me a few suggestions for my 2025 TBR. House of Leaves is on my list thanks to you. I'm so glad because it was on my TBR for like 3 years, and I read it and it was an immediate 10 out of 10 for me. Although I will say, I think I tried to make this clear in my video. It's been a while since I did that one. Actually, I will say, let me finish my sentence before I do that. I will say, it's not for everybody. It's very polarizing. There are different perspectives, and there's one perspective in particular. The younger guy, what was ever his name? Anyway, he can be very abrasive, and people don't like him sometimes, and it's hard for people to get into that. No, what I was going to say is, if you haven't seen that video that I did, just go watch it for the production quality alone. I put more effort into that video than I've probably any video on my entire channel. House of Leaves, go watch it. I'm plugging myself here. I'm sorry to do that, but I worked really hard on that video, and I'm so proud of it. Anyway, are you gonna catch up to Vinland Saga and Vagabond this year? Well, technically, I have like 1 volume in Vagabond. Leave me alone. Yes, I will catch up to Vagabond. Vinland Saga, I don't know. I will. It just depends on how my manga reads go. I was gonna read the next arc in that like for December, but then I was doing all the Christmas stuff and and Christmas presents and whatnot, and I was like, I'm not buying new books. To hell with that. And then it got pushed back for Blade of the Immortal. Now it's getting pushed back for 20th Century Boys. So yes, I want to continue it, and yes, I'm going to finish it. But I'll get to it kind of when I get to it, and I'm also trying to prioritize Inuyasha, which I've been trying to prioritize that one for 6 months, and I just haven't got to it. The only reason I'm trying to prioritize Inuyasha is because that's the one that I got my daughter into because she was looking for an anime to watch, and I said, "Watch Inuyasha," because I loved it. It's one of my favorite things ever from when I was younger, and then she fell in love with it, and then I bought the manga, and I got her to read the manga, so now I'm trying to read that because it's just something that I have, uh, in common with my daughter, and it's just something great to, for us to share, so I'm trying to prioritize that too in the background, so but yes, to answer your question, yes, I will get to Vinland Saga, but it's just it might not be it'll be slowly as I go throughout the year. Thank you so much, Grey Milk, for this super chat. I think my internet is dying here. Congrats on the 20,000 and have a nice stream. Thank you so much, Grey Milk. Thank you for the $5. Thank you for the support. Thank you for everything, Grey Milk. Grey Milk is one of my oldest subscribers. He's been with me. I want to say I had like 50 subscribers and just started Berserk when he jumped in there. And then he was one of my very first patrons that I ever had. And he is still a patron to this day. He's just one of my oldest that has been here for at least 2-3 years now. I don't even know, but thank you so much for everything. Sorry if you've already addressed it, but how did your recovery go from your ski trip? It was a camping trip, but it's gone quite well. I shattered my ankle. I don't know if anyone saw that video. But I fell down into a ravine and landed on a boulder when I was camping. I shattered my entire ankle, and I was in this like external fixator because there wasn't even enough bone left in my ankle to put the plates and screws in to fix it. And I literally had to lay in bed for 10 weeks with this big cage on my leg trying to get it to, oh, it was a mess. And that's why you'll see like a whole section of videos where I'm like filming from my bedroom because I couldn't get out of bed. It was crazy. Anyway, I'm doing quite well. I'm back up. I'm back. I'm walking. Walking unassisted, and I do have a limp, but it's getting better. And I'm getting better every week. Actually, next week I go for another checkup. We'll see what they have to say. But other than a slight limp, I'm and I try not like when I'm out in public, I try to walk normally, like that situation like where you're like you like run and then you're out of breath and you're like somebody walks by, you're like you try and look like you're fine. That's me when I'm walking through public. I try to walk straight so no one can tell that I fucked up my leg. But I am much better. I am walking, and I actually healed a lot faster than the doctors thought I would. They were literally shocked when they got in to do my second surgery, and they were like, "We could not believe how solid the bone was." And I'm like, I don't just that good. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Slay in the house. Hello, Chance. I was just talking about you a minute ago. I don't know if you heard me, but yes. Anyway, welcome to the chat if you were not here before. Let's see. Oh, dang, I missed it. Yeah, no, I was just talking about YouTubers, and somebody asked me about YouTubers I watch, and they were talking about the community and how well and interconnected it was. And I did make the comment that you were attempting to put together a what was I saying? But you were trying to put together like a little stream that we might do. Anyway, that's all it was, really. An actual superhero over here. Well, thank you. I think I don't know who is that about someone else? Maybe I don't know. But you summoned me by talking about me. Well, there you go. Welcome. Either way. Let's see. Oh, you and your super healing. I get it. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. That was. And you know what? And I'm not young anymore. I'm 41. So I was worried when I broke my ankle. I thought, oh no, healing starts to slow down or something once you get old. But apparently Not yet, anyway. Hope the checkup goes well. It sucks to be unable to leave the house as a chronic illness sufferer. I know your pain. I've just become a patron. I want to get out of my comfort zone reading wise. Awesome. That's great. I don't know what your comfort zone is, but you know what? That's what I don't know why there's anyway. Yes. I'm a mess here today. Sorry. But that's some of my favorite videos is just to do recommendations because I just like recommending things to people, especially things that I like. So, and I also like getting outside of my comfort zone, which is why I have the Patreon pick. And you can suggest crazy shit for me to read, and I will read it whether I like it or not, and I'll tell you about it. Um, you look younger. Well, thank you. I'm so glad that I look not old as dirt because I am, you know. But no, thank you. Invisi Man checking out. Congrats, dude. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh. If you had to restart a channel, how would you go about it? I don't know. Not as terribly as I did it the first time around. Go I know I hate recommending people go check out go watch one of my old videos, especially like an old book review. I'm not good. I'm not good at this. Like this is not something that I'm anywhere near. It took me years to figure out just how to speak to a camera because I'm not like there's people I'll give you like a I don't know, like a Mike's book reviews. We'll just say him that can feel like they can just set up a camera and talk to it like casually. And I'm not me. I cannot do that. I'll think I know exactly what I'm going to say. And I will and ah and stutter and stammer and but my whole way through the video. It'll be a complete train wreck. I'm not good at this. And so I had to learn the hard way of like what I am and what I am not good at and what I can and what I cannot do. And then I had to learn, I need notes. I need bullet points. I need to know what I'm going to say in the order I'm going to say it, how I'm going to say it. Like, and I'm just going to have to do it that way because there's a skill that people have with turning on a camera and talking. I don't have it. I ramble, I stammer, I talk in circles. I'm a mess. So I guess if I was starting my channel over, it would be do it right the first time and really focus in on high quality. Let me put that in quotes. I don't want to say that I have high quality stuff, more focused stuff, more focused in on what I'm doing, better visuals, better stuff like that. But and I'd probably still talk about the same things I talk about. Books is my love on the internet. And I think it's because I could talk about movies. I love those just as much as I love books. I could talk about music. I love those just as much as I love books. And I even have guitars. I play music. I'm actually not great, but I can play, and I could do anything. But I know people in real life that I can talk to about music. I know people in real life I could talk to about movies. I don't know people I can talk to about books because book readers are harder to find. So that's probably why I would continue to focus on books, even if I had to start over. Just finished Shadow and Claw. Cool concept, but hard to get oriented. Any advice for Sword and Citadel? Not just go with the flow. Kind of go read it on a surface level. Know that there's some things that are happening that are strange. Know that he's describing things that you should recognize, but you're not going to get it because he's describing something like a technical piece of equipment or a computer or these mechanical devices that if you saw it in real life, you would know what it was. But he's going to be describing it in such a cryptic way that you're not going to understand. So just go across the surface level reading of it, I will say, knowing that there's more there that you're not getting. Kind of be cognizant of what's happening and try to see the things maybe a layer down as you're reading it. But know that if you don't know, you're going to miss a lot, and be okay with missing a lot and not let it bother you or upset you as you're going through the books. And that way when you miss it, you don't bother. It doesn't upset you. But when you catch it, it feels like a treat and a joy, and you get excited about it. And then you can go back and kind of start to piece things together later, but just don't try to make it. You can go very, very, very deep into them, but don't try to make it too hard, or it'll wreck your whole reading experience. Just kind of go with the flow and enjoy it, and I think you'll do pretty good with it. Just finished The Dispossessed. I have never read The Dispossessed. I was gonna read it, well, if it won the Patreon pick. That's one of the ones I was excited that it got nominated for the Patreon pick, was The Dispossessed, and I have not read it. I've read Left Hand of Darkness and A Wizard of Earthsea. Those are the only two books I've ever read by Ursula K. Le Guin so far. If you're not that great at playing guitars, but you like doing so, try getting Rocksmith. It's like Guitar Hero, but for real guitars. Very fun. You can play and learn your favorite songs too. I grew up with guitars in the house. My dad could sing and play, and he did all of that stuff. And then when I was in my 20s, I tried to learn when I was a teenager. I couldn't do it. When I tried to learn in my 20s, and I finally, at about 25, 26, sat down and I was like, I'm doing this. And I learned how to play. I learned how to sing. Then I learned how to sing and play. And I've played at both my sister's weddings. I can play. I'm just not, I would never claim to be much more than like intermediate. I'll play for family and friends. That's about as far as that goes. Do you think the ending of Dark Tower is brilliant? Well, clearly you've never seen my Dark Tower video, because I talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. The end of the Dark Tower series is probably my favorite ending of anything ever. Like, it is the most perfect ending I have ever experienced. And I mean, outside of books, anything. There was no other way that could have ended even slightly better. Now, I will say the book as a whole had some shortfalls and some scenes I didn't really like or agree with. I didn't like everything in that last book, but there is an ending, and I'm talking about the ending, like the very ending, because there's kind of like a first ending and a second ending. That second ending, oh my God. It was just the greatest, most perfect, most it's hard to put into words. I have like a whole half-hour video of talking about that book, and then I get to that section and I think I was fighting back like literal tears by the time I'm trying to express how much that ending affected me. It was crazy. But yes, the end of the Dark Tower is probably the greatest ending ever written of anything. And that might be controversial. It might be a hot take. I don't know. I know some people didn't like it. I did. I heard so many people reacted differently to the Dark Tower ending. I know Mike's Book Reviews dislikes it, but Belltube loves it. I can't wait to get to it myself. I don't watch my video then, because I full on spoil it. I mean, I'm full spoilers on that video. I talk about it, but yes, it is the greatest ending of all time. And I know I've watched Mike's Books Reviews talk about it. He actually stopped reading King after he read that, or some crazy shit like that. I don't know how you go that upset about it, but it's great. It's just, I love it. So fingers crossed you like it too. Yeah. Good luck. Have you discussed the meaning behind your tattoo? I have not. I don't think, anyway. I have actually quite a few tattoos. I actually thought about doing a tattoo tour video one time, but I don't know how well that would go over, because I literally they're like everywhere. I have an Oriental dragon over here, and I've got like this Shai Hulud from Dune over here. Anyway, and then this one, my arm is a full sleeve that I have dedicated to my children. I for a while there, I currently live with my fiance and my 2 kids and all of that, but there for a while, I was a single parent. It was just me and the 2 kids, and I got, my arm done because it's just kind of, my daughter's name is Willow, my son's name is Balin, and I got a willow it's hard to see, but I got a willow tree that is over top of a bay of water, and it symbolizes my 2 children. And then there are 3 ravens on my arm, because my last name is Rammel, and Rammel is an old German word for raven. So the 3 ravens on my arm are me and my 2 children. So it's just this big thing that I got when I was a single parent. And so that's what that is. And then pretty much dragons, because dragons are cool, and Shai Hulud because I absolutely love Dune. And as a matter of fact, I was gonna get the Dark Tower tattooed on my leg this year, and I fell and I broke the exact leg that I was going to have it tattooed on. And then I was out of work for a long time, and all the money I had saved up for the tattoo went to paying, bills, because I wasn't working because I broke my whole ass leg. It was a mess. Anyway, so that's that. What's the value of my tattoos together? A lot. I don't know. Like several $1,000s. They're not cheap. At least nice, high quality art is not cheap. You can get cheap tattoos, but then they're going to look cheap, like legit look cheap. You want something that like literally has kind of this kind of a, I think these are higher quality. Anyway, you want something that's quality. It's going to cost you a lot of money. I'll just say thousands of dollars, several. Wavy. I didn't know that was a bay of water and a willow tree. That's pretty cool to know that. Really, Balin? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. That was my son, and I'm ashamed of him now. But did you notice there were ravens on it, buddy? I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. Will you get a Malazan tattoo? Perhaps a bridge burner one? I don't know. I haven't even finished the series yet, so I have no idea. It depends on how impactful it becomes and how much I engage with it. But yes, I'm not, like I said, I don't know. I'm open to anything, but let me finish the series first before I get too invested. I don't think you ever told me that part. I'm pretty sure I did, buddy. Anyway, it's okay. If you've never read PKD, what book should you start with? I do Android's Dream of an Electric Sheep. I always say start there. It's the best example of his work, or at least the most well-rounded. It gives you some of the weird, it gives you some of the philosophical, it gives you some of his ideas on what is reality, what is the nature of reality, all of that stuff, while giving you some of it. It's just the best well-rounded example of his work, I think, and it's the best starting point. And it's the one I always recommend. Bro told YouTube about his tattoos before his son. My son just doesn't listen to me. He is 14 years old, and he does anyway. I think he was like 9 when I got the tattoo. So, and I don't think he listened to me when he was 9. It's okay. I love my son to death. Actually, you can see my son right here on the channel. We used to do old video games, and actually recently he's been helping me out with some making me guest book covers and stuff. So if you want to see me and my son just kind of have fun on YouTube, we're in there. He's here somewhere. Or his memory's already bad. Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. He fell off his skateboard too many times. No, I'm kidding. He just got his skateboard. He doesn't even know how to ride yet. He's working on that this weekend, I think, over at his grandma's house. Or jump right into Palmer Eldritch. LOA, just kidding. Yeah. You know what? You could jump right into Palmer Eldritch. I think maybe it'd be a wild ride. Well, Palmer Eldritch is another Philip K. Dick book, but it's one of his more weird, wild rides. He's really crazy in that one. Have you looked up Jen Williams' Ninth Reign? It's a good mix of fantasy and sci-fi. I absolutely loved the whole series. No, I have not. I don't even know what that is, so I'll have to look into it. Because if it's a mix of fantasy and sci-fi, that's some of my favorites. I really enjoyed that mixture a lot. Came in to lurk and say, congrats on the 20,000 subs. Thank you very much. A practical eccentric. Let's see. I started with Galactic Pot Healer. Yeah. Attempt 4. Can you read Red Rising after you finish Sun Eater? I don't know. I'm doing, I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to prioritize all these other series. I hear good things about Red Rising. I don't know when I'll get to it though. We'll like I said, we'll see, especially right after Sun Eater. If it's similar to it, I might want to take a break and give it some breathing room in between before I go into it. And also, like I said, I'm trying to prioritize at the very least the Wizard of Earthsea, because I really want to try and knock those out. Those are small though. That shouldn't take me too much time. Do you go thrifting for books? My grail find are the first 3 Dune books, all first year book club editions. Yes, I go every single month, at least a couple times a month, and I go out book shopping. As a matter of fact, all of my Dune books, well, my classic Dune books, they're all book club editions, so they're not like legit first editions. They're all book club editions, but they're all first editions, and I found every single one of them in the wild, all 6. I mean, I that's one of my most proud things, is the fact that I found all of those out in the wild. Like my Malazan hardcovers, I've ordered all of those online except for one. The Gardens of the Moon was the only one that I found out in the wild, and the rest I have to go on random various websites, thrift books or something like that, and find them, hunt them down, and try and get a hardcover version, except for Memories of Ice, because it was $500, and I'd be damned if I'm paying $500 for Memories of Ice. Not happening. Have you heard of The Black Tongue Thief by Christopher? I have no idea how to say that. Really enjoying it so far. Now that's one I have heard of. I have heard of The Black Tongue Thief. I've also heard of The Black Company. There's a couple of books that I've kind of got my eye on in the fantasy space. What's another one that I was Thief? That I'm thinking of it because it's The Black Tongue Thief. But Thief reminds me of, help me out, guys, Lies of Locke Lamore. That's what I'm trying to say. That's another one that I've kind of got my eye on, that I'm circling it, thinking about reading it, but I've got so many other things on my TBR. We'll see if I ever get to it. Are you a fan of science fiction, fantasy, short stories, or authors like Harlan Ellison, Bradbury, Asimov, etc.? I am. I really am. I actually did a video on Harlan Ellison and what's it called? I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And I did it on the entire book, not just the short story of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, because I was so blown away by the entire collection. Just everything about it was so good. And he even will give you the short story, and then he'll give you like this little blurb. It's almost like a foreword before every single story, kind of give you a frame of reference as to what the story's trying to do or what it's about, or at least sometimes it's even just where he was at in his life when he wrote that story. Oh my God, it's so good. I have such an immense amount of respect for Harlan Ellison and that collection. But short stories in general, I really enjoy. I don't think what am I trying to say? I don't think short stories get enough love out there in the world. tend to talk about novels and big series here on YouTube, and we don't give enough love to the short story, especially Ken Liu. Go check out Ken Liu's short stories. They're wonderful too. I read those last year, and I kind of haven't shut up about him in general. Actually, that's where I recommend people start with Ken Liu, because he's got that big Dandelion Dynasty. Wait for that one and go try Paper Menagerie or one of his short stories. That's where I say start. I always wonder how Miyazaki would have done the Earthsea movie and not his son. He's a big fan of Ursula, and apparently he was pissed he couldn't do it. I don't know much about that. I think I saw a video on it once, and that was like a year or two ago. Somebody did a little breakdown of how shamefully bad that Earthsea video was, or movie, but I never watched it. The Earthsea movie. I've never seen it, and I've only ever read that first book, so I really have no frame of reference. But yeah, it's kind of shameful that he if he had the rights to it and he didn't get to do it, that's awful, because he is so good at what he does, and that could have been just brilliant. Are you going to do an update on your library tour later this year? I don't know. I just did that not too terribly long ago, and not really anything's changed. I keep it pretty well the same. Well, I used to change it all the time, but it's been pretty well the same lately. I still have my showcase wall, and I still have the library proper, and I just kind of slot things in here and there as I go. So I think it's pretty standardized. Maybe if I do some kind of a big change to it or something like that. I don't know. Have you read The Haunted Mesa by Louis? Is that Louis or Lewis? I don't know. L'Amour? Probably Louis if his name's L'Amour. It's the only sci-fi adjacent book about a murder mystery and the Anasazi and alternate worlds. No, I have not heard anything about that. I will have to check that out, because that sounds interesting. Sci-fi adjacent about a murder mystery and the Anasazi. Huh. I'll have to look into that one. I made it to a live stream. Are you just getting here? That is the Saiyan, formerly known as Kakarot. He is a patron, one of my newer patrons, as a matter. Well, kind of, a few months old now. But yeah, he's the one that picked 20th Century Boys. He also sent me 20th Century Boys. So thank you very much to the Saiyan for that one. L'Amour is so... Who is that? Josh reads books. L'Amour is so dang good. His short stories are fantastic. I will have to check him out. I've never heard of this guy before. On a scale from 1 to 10, how worth it are the Folio Society books? I say 10. 100% worth it. They are the... Okay, how do I put this? They are the best book I have ever owned, period, hands down. By that I mean the highest quality of a book. I have some Easton Press editions. I have some Barnes and Noble special editions. I have I wouldn't say more special editions than I definitely don't have more than most people, but I even have some broken bindings back here, and there is nothing that even comes close. There's nothing that can even hold a candle to the quality that is the Folio Society. Now, what I will say is they are outrageous. Some of those books are like $150 for one book. So I buy like maybe 2, maybe 3 a year. And I would say just prioritize if you're even interested, because there is by no means are the words in the Folio Society edition any different than the words in the $9 mass market paperback. The story is the same, but it's just so in that sense, I'd say reserve them for stuff that you really like, some of your favorite books that you just want a special edition of it. because they are the true gold standard when it comes to special edition books, in my opinion. You influenced me to pick up Gormenghast. I saw a full illustrated edition. That might be the edition I have. If it's the edition I have, and it's just like all 3 books in one, and it's illustrated, the one I have, the illustrations are actually by Mervyn Peake himself. So cool. So cool. I thought that was my favorite part of the illustrations, was the fact that they were done by him, and he's such a unique artist too. But great books, wonderful. I cannot recommend them enough. He's such a good writer. It's crazy. His prose is just fabulous. He's so good. Say informally, yeah, the Dune trilogy was like $370 for all 3. $370. That sounds high. Were they book club editions, or I'm trying to think what I paid for the first 3. Maybe not. No, maybe not. That's probably not bad. I think I might have paid, I can't remember. I might have paid at least $100 for the first book itself. I don't remember. It's been a while. Do you have plans on reviewing the Metro trilogy? I don't. You mean like an actual video dedicated to? I don't know what you. No, I have no plans on doing that. I kind of recommend them every chance I get. I'm forever talking about. I think I put it on my favorite series. I think I put it on my favorite horror. I've put it on just about every list I can sneak it onto, because I love the Metro series so much, and I've talked about it so much on the channel that I've kind of, like every chance I can sneak in, go read Metro, I say it. So I have no real actual plans on making a dedicated video for the book series. I mean, I could, but I didn't have any plans to do so. But I love it, and I know I get pushback every time I talk about Metro too. There's like a group of people like myself that love it, and there's a group of people that do not like it, think it's overrated, had a real hard time reading the books. And I mean, to each his own, but I loved it, and I will continue to recommend them, even though they can be polarizing. Any here have the PKD collection from the Folio Society? I'm jealous if you do. I have them all. Every single one of them that they make is like, it took me 2 or 3 years to get them all. And yes, but I have, if it's a Philip K. Dick book from Folio Society, I have them. I have every single one of them. Yes, I'm still working on my Murakamis. I'm still working on, there's a lot of collections that I'm still working on, but that's not one of them. That one I have. Actually, I just the one I just bought. What did I get? Children of Dune. So I'm finally current on their Dune collection too, which was, I was behind on that for a long time. Do you recommend Brave New World to non-fans of 1984? I would recommend Brave New World to anybody. Brave New World and 1984 are not really, I wouldn't say they're necessarily reminiscent of each other. They're not really the same thing. They are both classic science fiction. They are both technically dystopian. But 1984 is like, 1984. It's that that true dystopian future, whereas Brave New World is more like, people aren't bad or upset in this. It's almost like a dystopian world by way of utopia, because everybody's so happy in Brave New World. They're drugged into being happy. They take this medication that makes them all super happy, and everybody's like, everything seems great. And so yeah, I would recommend Brave New World. Even if you didn't like 1984, go try Brave New World, because it's not the same experience. It's not the same story, and it's just as valid, and it's just as important. And I recommend you try it. Same with Fahrenheit 451. I think those three are all three that I think everybody should at least give them a shot. But if you don't want to, don't feel pressed. I'm not like, you have to read the classics. No. Sorry, jumping in again. Have you read The Name of the Wind? I loved it, but I feel the author's reputation has brought it down a notch in the past few years. Very poetic fantasy. I have not read that. I have heard about it. I've heard good things about him. I've heard good things, not him. I've heard good things about his prose and his writing. I also hear there's some big drama with him, and I don't know what the drama is. I think he took money or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to even speculate because I don't know the drama. I just know that there is drama around him. Congratulations. Can't wait to hear what you think of Guards. I'm looking forward to that one quite a bit. I really am. I can't wait to get to it. Do you make the decision between work and author? I'm thinking on the Neil Gaiman situation now, and I see all the time, I see David Eddings books in the secondhand bookstore, and his story is awful. The decision between work and author, is that like the death of the author, the separation of, what am I trying to say, separate the art from the author, and the Neil Gaiman situation. So I don't know where I land on that. It just really depends. I'm trying to, I personally, there's this, speaking of Neil Gaiman in particular, okay, hold on, back up. The separation of the art from the artist is, I say you should separate the art from the artist as much as possible, because maybe the author was not the most ideal human being, it doesn't take away the fact that some people may have engaged with the art in a specific way, and it may have enhanced and improved their lives. So you should separate the art from the artist as much as possible. There are times and there are situations where maybe they have done things that are so bad or so reprehensible that it really does make it difficult for you to separate from the art from the artist, in which case, you do you have to make that decision for yourself, what you are capable of separating and what you are not capable of separating, and the level of which you are comfortable with. That's what I will say. Beyond that, I don't know what to say about this Neil Gaiman situation. There is a whole wave of content that has hit YouTube, especially on Booktube, when it comes to the Neil Gaiman situation, and everybody's got an opinion. I have very much so stayed very far away from that. I just don't want to. I don't want to be in the middle of it. And I don't want to have anything to do with it, because I'm just quietly sitting back here going, I'm gonna wait. Just gonna wait. Let this play out, because I don't want to go all in on these things that he has supposedly done, and because I would like to think that I'm going to stay back and I'm going to be like, you are innocent until proven guilty, because I don't know. I know that's a weird thing to say about the Neil Gaiman situation. I just don't want to jump in there and try and have an opinion yet. I'm going to let it play out before I start saying anything. The drama is that Rothfuss said he would release the prologue of the third book if people reached a goal of donating to charity, and then he didn't. Yeah, see, I thought it had something to do with money. And that's just, that's just icky too, which I can see why people have a problem with what he did there. Yes, I 100% agree. Separate art from the artist. The classic argument is whether the author actually owes a reader anything. Enjoy the books that are currently published. Yes, I agree. I agree. And the other argument I've seen people say is the reason that they don't buy the books is because they're supporting them financially and kind of giving them money every time they buy a book. So that's another issue that, once again, you have to find out what level of support and where you're comfortable. Nobody can tell you what is the right way to feel about a specific situation or a specific author. You kind of have to just look at it, evaluate it, and kind of decide for yourself where you're comfortable there. I love Lovecraft's work. Probably would not get along with him. I don't think many of us would in the modern day and age. I think he was probably, if he existed nowadays, he would be extremely problematic. We'll put it that way. Yeah. Yep. Can always go to the library and read a book if it comes to that. Yep. Yes, you can. And it's always there. It's always free. You can always, yep, absolutely. 100%. And then you don't have to pay anybody anything, and you don't have to give any support to anybody that might be questionable. Yep, absolutely. I agree. I think that even if he is guilty, that doesn't make his books bad. The only thing that change is the analysis of the book and how you see the author. Sorry for my bad grammar. No, yeah. I mean, yeah, it will. It will absolutely change the analysis of the books in hindsight, like especially post after the fact, like once he's in the future, like say dead and gone, people will look back and they will reevaluate and reanalyze his works very differently, assuming that he's guilty and he's done all of this terrible stuff. Yeah, it'll they'll analyze those for a while. And you support the library, so win-win. Absolutely. Yep. Libraries are just the greatest thing ever. Just everything about them is just wonderful. Just the fact that they exist and we have this whole setup is just, yeah. Go support your local library. They are great. Librarian here. Well, hello, Tom. Go support Tom. He's a librarian. So anyone sold their Tesla yet? I'm assuming that's a Musk thing. I don't know. Is there drama with Musk other than the fact that he's kind of, well, never mind. Other than, yeah, the whole him and Trump. I guess. I don't know. Tom must know all the good books. Yes, I think Tom does know all the good books. You'll have to let us know in the comments here, Tom. Ever heard of Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr? Sounds right up your alley. I have heard the title before, but I don't know what it's about or anything about it. Like I literally know nothing about it, so I couldn't say. Tom says read Malazan, wink wink. I agree with him. I agree. Malazan is tough for me right now when I'm doing my read throughs of it, because every time I finish it, I want to go right into the next book, and I have to kind of force myself to wait because I have so many other things I want to read, and I can't let it just take over my entire TBR. As much as the Malazan fans would love for me to let it take over my TBR and burn through it, and then they'd get all the videos faster and all of that, but I just can't do it. I can't let it just consume my life like that. Do you read physical books only, or do you read on Kindle too, audiobooks, 1x, 2x? I'm always impressed on how much people read, considering I'm a really slow reader. I will say, that's going to be my next video, is going to be on how I read and how I read whatever. I had somebody specifically ask me this week if will do a how I read so many books in a month, which is kind of weird to me because I don't think I read that many books a month. Compared to compared to some of these people that read like, oh, I read 150 books this year. I had a commenter tell me, subscriber tell me that she read 10 books in January. I'm like, Jesus Christ, don't even know how you did that. But anyway, I do not read digitally. I've had a Nook before and an e-reader, and I hate them. I absolutely hate the whole experience of reading digitally. Just rubs me the wrong way. But I will say I do almost always, I read everything physically, but then I almost always download an audiobook version of what I'm reading. So when I'm reading at night or something like that, I will, or if I'm in the car, or not in the car, like if I'm riding with somebody else in the car. But if, like, when I read at nights, I read physically, and then, like, if I'm doing chores or washing dishes or I'm driving to work and back or something like that, I then turn on the audiobook version, and then when I get back home at night and I want to sit down on the couch and read, I pick up where I left off in the audiobook version back on my book. And between, like, leapfrogging, like, you'll go out, I'll do yard work in the summer, and I'll go out and I'll weed eat and I'll mow the lawn and I'll do that, and I'll be out there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, just listening on my noise canceling headphones to a book. Come inside, get cleaned up, sit down with the book, pick up where I left off. You would be shocked at how fast you can get through a book doing it that way. So anyway, yes. Where am I at? Oh boy, you're in for a hell of a ride. Oh my God, I can't wait to, Jesus fucking Christ, I can't read. I can't wait for you to get into Ryan Cahill. Oh boy, you're in for a wild ride. What did Ryan Cahill write? You have to tell me. Ramble Broadcasting, where do you get your t-shirts? That is a website called outofprint.com. And if you can convince them to give me an affiliate link, I would be super happy. I actually emailed him. I was like, because I get this literally at least once a week. Somebody asks me where I get my shirts. I tell them every time, out of print, out of print, out of print, because I love these shirts so much. And they have like vintage book covers, and that's just what they do. It's out of print. And I put it I respond every time somebody asks me in the comments, I just out of print, and I emailed him. I was like, people ask me all the time where I get my shirts. I could put a link in the description, let's do this. And they just, I don't think they're interested. Either that, or they might be a small enough company that they might not even do stuff like that. I don't know if they're like, it's not like Amazon where you're going and got some big affiliate program that they run or anything like that. Played Shadowrun returns. Does that count? Okay, Ryan Cahill is a fantasy author. People love his books. I think he writes more classical fantasy, but a really good one. What do you do for work? I work in healthcare. I work in nursing. I'm essentially not a nurse. I'm essentially more like a tech that works with the nursing crew, and stuff like that. I've done all kinds of stuff in the nursing field. I currently work in a nursing home, and I do stuff like that. I've been everywhere in between. I used to work in the management. I worked as a staff development coordinator for a nursing home. I've taken care of the staffing in places. I've worked in supply. I've worked literally anywhere that you can imagine, but mostly I work as essentially as a patient care tech and stuff like that. So nothing fancy, nothing special, nothing, it's very, I don't know. Anyway, but that's what I do. And that's, like I said, I was actually working in staffing and all of that kind of stuff, staffing and supply and working out of my little office when I went down to being like that single parent thing. And I just didn't have time for it. That's when I went back to working the floor, and I was like, I can't do all of this. I can't be on call and trying to manage a whole ass staff. No, I can't do that. I just put me back on the floor and let me do that, because that way I can come in, I can clock in, I can do my job, and I can clock out and go home. And it also gives me, an ability to do this because we work 12-hour shifts. And when you work 12-hour shifts, you work 3 days a week, and then I have 4 days a week off, so it gives me more time. And yes, my days where I'm working, like you work a couple 12s in a row and you just kind of want to die afterwards, because you're so beat. But it gives me 4 days a week off, which gives me about at least 2 days where I can really focus on YouTube and creating YouTube content. So, um, I wouldn't say it's not special. All of it makes a difference. Well, thank you. Um, do you ever saw my top 10 manga? I don't know. Probably. Where would I have seen it? Was it a comment or in the Discord? Oh, no way. I used to be an ER tech and now I am in medical school. It's a great job. Well, thank you. Do you have any favorite indie authors? I don't. I don't read a lot of indie stuff at all. I probably should. I just haven't gotten into any of it yet. And I know that it's becoming so big. It's just bigger and bigger all the time. This whole indie space that we have and self-published and whatnot. But I don't have a favorite. Actually, I haven't read, like I said, much of it at all. I haven't read enough to have a favorite. Discord. I don't know. I'll have to look at it. I'm sure I saw it. I just don't remember it off the top of my head. Do you have any opinion on fantasy maps or any favorites? I don't know what my opinion would be. I don't know. I love maps. I love everything about them. I don't even really I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. I don't even really like dive into them. When I'm reading the book, I'm not going back to the map as a reference, but well, that's not true because I did that all the time when I was reading Dandelion Dynasty. I was forever digging into those maps and trying to figure out where I was and where they were and what they were doing. But I don't do it for Malazan. And there's so many maps in there. I just kind of just read the book and go with it. I'm not trying. Anyway, I love them. From an artistic perspective, I love them. I love when a book has them. I love looking at them. What I was just trying to say is I kind of separate the book from the map in the sense that I'm normally not trying to find my location on the map, but boy, will I just something about having a good map in a book just makes my soul happy. Like it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but I do enjoy them. And Dreams of the Dying is a fantastic indie fantasy with horror and existentialism themes. It's one of my favorite books. I haven't heard of that. I'm not sure what that one is. I talked to Christopher Rocchio a few days ago. What? You did? I talked to Christopher Rocchio a few days ago. Talk about a super humble, cool guy. Where in the world did you meet Christopher Rocchio? That sounds awesome. Although I probably could talk to him myself if I reached out to him because he seems like he does that for YouTubers. I think everybody's talked to Christopher Rocchio at this point. I'll probably wait till I'm done reading all of Sun Eater before I reach out to him. But he does seem like a super cool dude, like super cool. I've seen him do interviews on other people's channels, and he just sounds awesome, especially considering that he likes a lot of the stuff that I like Dune, and he's big into the Book of the New Sun. Like I would love to talk to him. And like you said, I think he seems like such a cool dude. Oh yeah, he's super cool. I chatted with him at MarsCon a few weeks ago. Okay. Yeah. So he's making the convention circuit run. Yeah. I don't know. I asked him on a comment on his YouTube channel when he was coming to Ohio, because he did that thing with Mike in Texas, and I asked, I commented on his YouTube when he's coming to Ohio, and he doesn't know when he's coming here. I was like, yeah, fine, I'll see you never. No, I'm just kidding. I met Christopher Rocchio at Dragonsteel, and he's super cool. Yeah, he just seems like he's the coolest dude. You've gotten me excited to finally read some sci-fi once I'm done with this Brandon Sanderson doorstopper. Yeah, well, I hope so. Go get into it. It's great. I still need, speaking of Brandon Sanderson, I still need to read some of his work. He's another person I want to read and get into. He's also another person that I'm on. I don't know. I hear things about him and his writing style, and I don't know if we will jive. Like it's one of those ones where like I just need to get in there and read some of his stuff and find out whether or not he's for me. Because I feel like I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. And I haven't figured out exactly where to start yet. Way of Kings or Mistborn. I initially planned on starting with Mistborn, but I haven't figured it out yet. My favorite booktuber. I hope you're doing well. Congratulations. I just picked up the stand. Well, thank you. I thank you. I can't believe that means a lot that you say that. I am doing well, and the stand is fabulous. I highly recommend it. It's a great book. I hope you enjoy it. I sent him a message discussing his books, and he straight pinned appalled me for like an hour. No reason he had to. We just talked and even gave out info. Books 4 and 5 are coming back. HC. Huh. Interesting. Yeah. Mistborn is a good one, but has some YA vibes. Yeah, see, that's some vibes that I don't know if I don't know. See, that's we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to be dissing his writing style when I've never read it. Robert Jordan impression didn't go so well, I think. Oh, I see. Yeah. Do Way of Kings. That's more your speed, might be. And how do you pick the books you read? By concepts or general plot, like time travel or this guy meets a girl in the past turned up? I have a pretty good, I watch a lot of content on Booktube, and then I read about the books, and I have a really good idea of what I personally like. I've been reading long enough, and I just can generally read a description of the plot, and it will pique my interest, and I'll know that I'm interested in the plot. Then I'll go and kind of look into what kind of a writer they are, and I can normally, if I hear just like a description of their writing style, I will know quite quickly whether or not they work for me. Now, that is not a 100% tried and true and foolproof way, but it's really good enough that gets me kind of a good bearing as to whether or not I will engage and enjoy that book. Anyway, I am gonna, let me see here. I am gonna have to call this a day here because my little camera is flashing at me and my battery is almost dead, and I have a camera that is just old enough that it won't let me plug it into the wall and run it that way. So when the camera's dead, it's kind of dead. It gets game over. But I do want to say one last time that I want to say thank you so very much to everybody that showed up today, everybody that stopped in to talk. I want to say thank you to everybody who's ever subscribed, and thank you for all of the support. And I can't say enough. This past year and my growth this past year has just been amazing, and I loved every second of it, and I will continue to be here. I'm going to continue to do it. I hope you guys continue to show up, and once again, thank you so very much for everything and every view.